How's it going? Oh, that's not, I didn't, okay. Well, let me put a timer on so I don't go over time. Did you guys enjoy the keynote? I did not go. I feel kind of bad, but I feel like whenever you speak at a conference, you're kind of like, what can I actually go see? Whenever I do single track conferences, though, I can actually see my friends and you can actually pay attention a little bit more, but it's so easy to get distracted with the Holly track these days. So, how many of you all are Angular developers? How many of you are React developers? So how many of you guys use Angular material? Few, okay, maybe, okay. Well, Angular definitely made a lot of really cool releases recently, which I'm excited about. So if your company is not excited about the material design aspects of it, there's some new releases that I'll talk about later in this talk. So my name's Tracy. You can follow me on Twitter at LadyLeet. I am a speaker, a Google developer expert as well for Angular and other web technologies. I love JavaScript, so anything Angular, Ember, React, RxJS, React Native, NativeScript, basically anything JavaScript. You can probably find me poking around with. Not Vue yet. How many of you guys use Vue? None. Wow, it's amazing. I guess we're not in China or India or anything like that. A lot of my friends these days, though, like large companies in the US are starting to move to Vue, which is interesting. So we'll see how that goes. I do want to try it, though. So I'm also a co-founder of a company called ThisDot. On the media side, we have this amazing quarterly event called ThisDot JavaScript, where we bring together the core contributors of the different frameworks and libraries like Angular, Ember, React, Vue, RxJS, Polymer, etc. So you can find that live broadcasted every quarter, or you can just pick it up online as well. We also do one with browser vendors. So there's a lot of really cool things happening with Edge and Chrome, obviously. But I mean, even more excitingly, I feel like people ignore Edge a lot. And if you heard this state of Edge that Nolan Lawson gave recently, you guys would be like, oh my gosh, this is so cool. So anyways, on the lab side, we do more of a consulting type approach. But one thing I'm really excited about is this diversity program that we're just launching. So if you care about hiring women in tech and care about that initiative, what we do is we mentor up junior developers, junior female developers, and pair them with really amazing mentors. And then also provide the opportunity for companies to be able to hire and help change that diversity problem. So I'm always happy to talk about those things as well. I write on Modern Web, and I also do a podcast on Modern Web, so you can check that out. And I love mentoring different, whether it's marketing or development or things like that. So what is Angular Material? So Angular Material just released. It's just July 7th, I believe, was the last release. It's Angular Material 2 Beta 8 right now. What they are is it's a material design components for Angular applications. So these are optimized for Angular. They're built by the Angular team. They integrate seamlessly with your Angular application. Pretty awesome. I've really enjoyed playing with it. I've been playing with it since the team told me not to play with it. I was like, hey, I'm going to give a talk on this. And they said, why? Please don't. It was during the alpha phase. And then I actually tried to use it, and I said, okay, no, I'm not recommending this. But now I do recommend it because it's awesome. So we're going to learn a few things today. We're mostly going to be playing around in a little bit of code. There's two aspects to Angular Material. You have components and styling. I'll give you a few tips on getting started, a little ways that I like to set up my applications, and then we'll just get into building Angular Material. Versions I'm using today are Angular Material 2 Beta 8. We're using the latest version, Angular 4.3.4 and Angular CLI 1.3.0. Who is an Angular developer that does not use the CLI? Whoa, one, okay. Who's an Angular developer that uses the CLI? I should see everybody's hands basically go up. That makes me so happy. I came from Ember, and the only reason I actually started developing, well, really developing, I guess, was because of the CLI. So I refuse to use any technology that doesn't have a CLI for me. Okay, so two aspects again of Angular Material. We have components. So you have the layout, navigation, form controls, pop-ups and modals, buttons, indicators, and icons. Also, the new data table was just released July 7th as well. And then we have styling. So with Angular Material, you get access to the material design colors, default themes. There's 4 default themes for you, and then you can also create your own custom themes. Here are the 30 available components in Angular Material currently. So a lot of really cool buttons. I love the little progress bars they have, the ripple effect, pop-ups and modals. Really love the little snack bars and tooltips. Just basically all the things that pop up around. I mean, I really wanted to create this app where you just like click on things and then you have these little snack bars pop up everywhere. Some pretty good layout things that you can basically use with Flex Layout as well. We have some navigation. Love the Side Nav. I'll be using that in my application today. Data table again just came out, so you have the page, the paginator, the sort header, and the table. A lot of really great form controls. Things that people have been really excited about that have recently come out are Date Picker, for example. Woo, Date Picker! It's funny how our industry just loves talking about date pickers. Get so excited about it. So material styling. Again, we have, you know, the colors of material design, default themes, the custom themes, and just recently in the last release, they came out with a typography configuration. So I don't know if you guys have ever seen Material Palette. I love this website. So Material Palette basically takes the material design colors and then allows you to pick and choose. So you can sort of see like which one is the most exciting color, what looks good, and then it gives us a download of the actual palette. So it's pretty amazing. Check it out on your free time. These are the 4 pre-built themes that Angular Material comes with. So these are located in your node modules file. That's where you're going to be importing it into your styles.css file. You have a deep purple, amber, indigo, pink, pink and blue gray, and then purple and green. As well, you can create your own custom themes. I won't go over that today, but you can check the guides at material.angular.io. It's just a pretty simple basic step-through guide. And again, the typography configuration that was just released, you can check out the guides as well. So my favorite part is building, actually coding with material components. So we're going to go ahead and get started. I'm going to spin up an Angular CLI app. So all you do there is make sure you have Angular CLI installed, and then ng new, name of your application, cd into that application, and then make sure to install your dependencies. So to install Angular Material, just yarn add Angular Material. Recently in the new release, they just came out with the CDK, the component dev kit, which is now a dependency that Angular Material requires. So make sure to install that. Animations, this is, so for some of the more complex, transitions, animations will be required. And then for some of the different components, Hammer.js is also required. So you can go ahead and add those to your application. For the fonts, icons, and themes in your global styles.css file, what I'm doing here is I'm just importing the Roboto font since I want to use it outside of my material components and throughout my application. And I'm also importing the material icons, which I'll be using. And then I decided that I wanted to, for this demo, use the pre-built theme of Indigo Pink. So I went ahead and imported that from my node modules folder. So I also added a little bit of custom CSS just in case I want to, you know, add text color or something like that. I tried desperately to get around that important. I hate using that, but unfortunately, like the way the components are so specific, like, anyways, just sorry for the importance. We're going to go through a component demonstration today. These are a few of them we're going to go through. So toolbar, side nav, icon, button, progress bar, grid list, chips, dialog, raise button, cards, MD list. If you do want to lint my code while I'm coding, feel free to. So let's go ahead and get started. I already spun up a new application. This is, I'm just serving it on localhost 48200, which is the default port for Angular CLI. They just created this really cute little welcome page for us, so I love it. Welcome to our app. And what you'll see here is this is actually using the Roboto font because I already installed it into my application. So let me go ahead and open up code really quickly. Okay, so for those of you who maybe haven't seen an Angular CLI application before, basically what we have here is we have the main app folder, and then we have the four main app component files. So we have a CSS file, HTML file, the spec file, and then we have the TS file. Another thing you should take into consideration is the app module file. This is sort of where you're going to be doing all your imports, declarations over here so that you can use everything in your application. And what I also did was, I'll show you the styles file that I have over here. So you'll see here, this is where I'm importing the Roboto font, material icons, and then the pre-built themes, the pre-built theme as well. And I'm specifying with the body that I want to use Roboto. I also added routing to this, so I just created the app routing file, made all my imports from Angular Core and the router. And before I started this, I went ahead and created 2 components with the CLI. I created the about component and the home component. And this is where I'm specifying the paths for my routes. I went ahead and exported that, and then I'm adding it into my app module file right here. I'm importing routing right here, and then I'm adding it to my imports down here. Okay, so this is what the general component will look like when Angular CLI generates it for you. So we have our home component over here, and we have our about component. What I haven't created is I haven't created 2 other components that I want, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. NGGC, let's see, we're going to create a team page, so let me go ahead and generate that component first. And what you'll see if you look up over here is that they created the 4 files for me, and then they updated the app module file. And I'm also going to create I'm also going to create an operators file. So I actually realized I forgot to tell you what I'm actually building here. So I am really excited about ARCs. How many of you guys use ARCs.js at all? Like 1, 2, a little bit. Okay. So yeah, I mean, you sort of are forced to be exposed to it with Angular. But I'm trying to fix the ARCs.js docs right now. So the closest I've gone is basically cloned the library and created a dummy Angular CLI app. But we're getting there. So I figured what I would do is I would just demo like an ARCs.js docs application here. So anyways, I created 2 of those components here. So we have an operators component, and we have a team component. Another thing I did before this was I just created 2 Angular services. I have the operator service and just arrays of data for the different operators, and then a team with an array of data for the different team. And I added some images into my assets folder as well. So now that we have all that going on, and I just created 2 new components, I want to go ahead and add that into my app routing file. So let me go ahead and do that. I'm going to go ahead and import the team component from team component. Go ahead and save that. And I'm just going to go ahead and give myself a little bit of room over here to make sure nothing's breaking on that side. Operators component from, let's see, operators.component. Go ahead and save that, and then I'll go ahead and define the different paths I want over here. Oopsies. It's always weird when your screen is like exploded into a huge, huge thing so you guys can see it. Team component. And then I'm going to go ahead and add 1 more over here, and this is going to be the operators component. Operators is going to be the name of the path. So if I go ahead and save that, now in order to use the router, of course, I need to go ahead and make sure that I have a router outlet. So I'm just going to go ahead and add the router outlet over here. Save that, and what you should see is you should see that home works over here. I specified home to be the default component that shows up. So okay, that works. That's awesome. Now what I probably want to do here is I want to make things look a little bit pretty, right? So I'm going to go ahead and add a little, I'm going to use the Side Nav basically. So we're going to use the toolbar, and we're going to use the Side Nav component. The other components we're going to be using are MD icon and MD button as well. So in order to use material components, they are deprecating this right now. There is material module, which I do love, but material module unfortunately has no tree shaking, so it's not amazing, and they don't want you to do that. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and import everything we need from Angular Material. Let's see, at Angular/material. And let's see, so I said I'm going to use the MD toolbar module. So I'm using the MD toolbar module. I'm using the MD button module as well, because I'm going to create a button. I'm using the MD icon module. The great thing is you have to do this once and then it's sort of there. So the MD icon module, and then we're going to use the MD Side Nav module as well. Side Nav module, go ahead and save that. Okay, so we have these 4 components that we're going to be using. After we've added it to our imports over here, we just need to add it down here as well. All right, just make that pretty. Okay, so now that I've done that, I can go ahead and get started. So let me go ahead and go back into my app component file. And so what this requires is for the Side Nav to actually work, you're just wrapping everything in a Side Nav container. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. The router outlet needs to go in there as well. Go ahead and save that. Now I want to have like a nice little bar at the top called RxJS docs. So for that, I'm going to use the MD toolbar. And we'll just say RxJS docs over here. Go ahead and save that, and you'll see the RxJS docs is listed. The toolbar you can see, but we want to make sure the color it works. So I'm going to use the pink accent over here since I'm using this indigo pink, and pink is my accent color. So you can see that's really nice. So that works out. And now what I want to do is I want to create the little side nav, right? So in order to do that, it's actually called MD Side Nav. So let me create the side nav first. And I'm going to give it a local template variable called Side Nav. And then I'm just going to use MD toolbar again in my Side Nav. This is going to be a stack toolbar, so the first row is always going to be a span. And I'm just going to link it to our default route over here, and then we're going to call this home over here. And then every subsequent one is actually going to be a MD toolbar row. So let's see, and then the router link, I think you guys probably care about, since this is RxJS, you guys are going to care about the operators. So we'll make this the operators route right here, and then we'll call this operators. And then we're just going to do the same thing for, let's see, what else do we have? We have the team as well, so we'll make that, and then we'll have an about page as well. So we'll go ahead and create the about page too. And I like to just make sure nothing breaks. Okay, so everything's looking good so far, but we obviously need a button. So I want to show you guys the docs as I'm doing this so you guys can sort of see where you need to reference anything if you might ever have to reference anything. If you go to material.angular.io and you go to the different components, for example, right now we are going to use the Side Nav. So we can go down and we can go to Side Nav. And you can see the basic Side Nav, so that's what we're going to try to do. And you can actually go to view source over here, and then you can see the HTML and TypeScript files. Usually there's nothing in the CSS for Angular Material, or you can open it in Plunker as well. But anyways, so we need to create a button. So for that, I'm going to use the material button. I'm going to do that right above the RxJS docs. So this is a button, and it's an MD button. Go ahead and save that. And within that button, I'm going to have I'm going to use the MD icon. And for the MD icon, I'm going to specify that this is going to be the hamburger menu. So if I go ahead and save that, you should see the nice little hamburger menu here. So we have a nice little button with the ripple effect and the pretty little menu right here. So the button obviously doesn't do anything, so I'm going to add a click event to it. And that click event is going to, I called my side nav, so side nav.toggle. And that is just going to toggle when I click on that button, hopefully, and hopefully that works. Oh, another thing I want to do, by the way, is I'll show you why, actually. So it works, but it doesn't look pretty. But it's because the side nav container is not full screen. So once I make it full screen, yay! And you can see the routes changing over here. And then you can see that it's routing to the specific components that I want, right? About works, everything like that. So, you know, within just a very short amount of time, right, we were able to make a really nice header over here. We're able to make a little side nav, get the routes to work, use 4 different components. But now what we want to do is we probably want something on this home page that looks a little bit nicer. So I'm going to go ahead and go to my home component, and I'm just going to probably create an H1 tag, and I'll probably say welcome to the RxJS docs test application. Go ahead and save that. I probably want a little bit of information. Actually, you know, one thing that I need over here is I need a little bit of styling, otherwise that's going to drive me a little bit crazy. So in this router outlet over here, I'm just going to add a div and add the router outlet in there, and then I'm going to make a class, and I think I called it body margin already. Go ahead and save that, and I also just want to center align the text. So there we go. Okay, that looks a little bit better. Let's go back to my home component, and I probably want an image. So I already created, I think it's in my, let's see, assets.img/rxjs.png, I believe. There we go. We have the little RxJS logo right there, and then we probably want to say a little bit about what on earth RxJS is. So I'm just going to take that from the docs that are already here. And RxJS is a library for reactive programming using observables to make it easier to compose asynchronous or callback-based code. I am giving a talk about RxJS tomorrow, I believe, at NG Sydney, so hopefully I see some of you guys there. Otherwise, I'm always happy to talk about it on the internet. Okay, so we have that going on. Let's see, what else do we want here? Okay, so since this is a work in progress, I'm just going to go ahead and say it's a work in progress. So this is still a work in progress. And you know, if I want to be cute, which I do, I'm going to go ahead and use this. Let's see. We can use the progress. So there's a progress spinner, which I think is pretty cool. And then you have a progress bar as well. So I think we'll use this progress bar. And again, you can just view source over here and you can see. So MD progress bar will have different modes that you can have. This is indeterminate. Yeah, let's go ahead and use it. So in order to use it, we need to go back into our app module file. And we go ahead and import it. So MD progress bar module. Go ahead and save that. And then I can go ahead and add it into my imports down here. MD progress bar module. Go ahead and save it. If I go back to my home component, I can just use the MD progress bar over here, and you'll see that, let's see, mode equals indeterminate. Let's go ahead and save that and see if that works. Okay, so I have a nice little progress bar right here. I could do like a value equals 10, let's say, if I wanted to, and it would just default to determinate, so you can see that progress bar is 10. But I like it the other way because it's nice and spinny. Well, not spinny, but I probably also want to make the color be the accent color, the pink, since that'll be nice. Okay, another button. We're going to use another button, and we'll probably just add a little button down here, and we're going to use the MD raised button. So MD raised button, and probably say like check out the team. And we'll add a router link over here. Link equals team. And if I go ahead and save that, that doesn't look that pretty. MD raised button, color equals, well, we can make it primary since I haven't used that primary color yet. Okay, and maybe add a little bit of styling here. Class is margin top 20. Go ahead and save that. Okay, well, that's a little bit better. So now this routes to the team component, which we don't have anything. So let's go ahead and make a really nice team page. So for this, I'm going to use the grid component. So in order to do that, let me just go ahead and go into my app module file and import it. So I'm also going to use the list as well down there. So MD grid list module, and then MD list module as well I want to import. Okay, and then make sure to add it over here. So MD list module, and then the MD grid list module. Go ahead and save that. Since I'm doing a team, I don't know if you remember, but I did create an Angular service called the team service where I have the person, the commits, compliments, images, etc. over here. So in order to use this service, when you generate a service with the CLI, it's just ngg service, but it doesn't add it to your app module file. So we need to go ahead and make sure we do that before we do anything. So I'm going to go ahead and import the team service from team.service. And then I also have one for the operator. So I'm going to do that right now. Service from operators.service. Okay, go ahead and save that. And I need to go ahead and add that to my providers as well. Operator service, service, and team service. Okay, go ahead and save that. Now what I need to do is I need to go into that team component I had, go into the TypeScript file, and I need to also import the service here. So team service from team.service, I believe it is. Go ahead and save that, and then add it to my constructor over here. So we'll call this team data and team service. Go ahead and save that. Okay, nothing's broken so far. Okay, now I can go ahead and use the data in my application. So let's go back to the team component HTML file. And we don't have anything pretty here yet, so let's just go ahead and say like the RxJS Dream Team. Save that. And then what we probably want, why does, oh, forgot to delete that over there. Okay, so RxJS Dream Team. Let's see. Okay, we probably want people's faces, right? So I'm going to use the grid, the material grid. So in order to do that, the grids, all the grid tiles need to go into a grid list. So we'll go ahead and do that. We need to specify the number of columns, otherwise it's not going to work. There's 8 people. There's a lot more contributors, but I couldn't fit them all. So I decided to just choose 8 of the top contributors. And then in each of the, in the grid list goes grid tiles. So I'm going to create little images, and let's see if I remember where I put this assets/image/ben-lesh.jpg speaker images. Let's see if that works. All right, well, no, it didn't. /assets/image/ maybe it's, yeah, that should probably work. It doesn't. Is it the internet? Let's see. I thought it's, I don't know why it's not working. Oh, you know why? Oh my God, really, Tracy? Because I added everybody's just last names. Okay, there we go, there's Ben. Yay, hi Ben. Okay, so Ben was funny. He's like, hey, you're giving a talk about RxJS. Can I dial in? I'm like, yeah, sure. It's 2 in the morning for you. Go ahead. So anyway, so hi Ben. Okay, Ben's distracting me. What do we need to do now? Okay, so now that we have the data, we're going to go ahead and add this grid tile. And we're just going to use ng4 and let image of, what did we call it? We called it teamdata.team, I believe. Okay, there's a lot of Bens. So now that we have a lot of Bens, I believe I called this image. So we can just say image.image, and it should pop up everybody, except for Matt. It's so funny, I didn't. It's like I've run into this like 3 times now practicing this talk, and I still haven't edited that, but there we have Matt over there. So we have this really amazing dream team, and as you guys can see, it was pretty easy to style that using the grid list, well, the grid tile grid list. But now what we probably want to do is we want to have like a list of accomplishments for these guys. So list of accomplishments. And for that, I'm just going to use the MD list component. So MD list. Okay, so MD list is basically everything goes into MD list, and then you have MD list items. And I'll just add test over here, and then we can see that this works, okay? And then for each item, I'm going to use ng4 again. Let team of team data dot team. Go ahead and add that here. Okay, and then let's see, team dot name person. Did I call it name or person? Let's see. Person, commits, and complement. So team dot person. And I should be able to see a list of the guys. Okay, there we go. I know there's no girls. Maybe I'll be on there one day. Hopefully in a month or two. We'll see how it goes, depending on how well I do with these talks. Okay, so team person, Ben Lesh has team.commits. This is very telling. No. I was going to give him crap about it, but then he's like, well, it's the I could hear him telling me it's the quality of the code and not based on the number of commits. So commits on GitHub. He does have the most, though. And then team.complement. Okay, so we'll go ahead and save that. And now we can see that we use the list to basically say Ben Lush has 651 commits on GitHub. He's so cool, polar bears freeze around him. I meant to say polar bears wear sweaters around him, but it was late. I think I did this at like 3 in the morning. So anyways, so we have a pretty nice team page now, right? But I think what we should probably do is focus on those operators. I cannot tell you how painful it is to look at those docs, those ArcsJS docs right now and try to figure out what the hell those operators do. But anyways, problems we're solving slowly. Here's the operators service, and I just have an array of operators. I have operator and then details right here. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to use one of my other favorite components, which is the card component. So in order to do that, I'm going to go ahead and import it into my app module file. Let's see, it's called MD card module. And I'll go ahead and add it over here as well. And then I'm going to also use the grid like I just did, MD card module. Go ahead and save that. In order to use the operator service, I did add it into my app module file earlier, but I need to go into my TypeScript file. Oops, not that one. Okay, and I need to go ahead and import it up here as well. So operators service from operators.service. Go ahead and save that. And then add it to my constructor over here. We'll call this operator data, operators service. Okay, go ahead and save that. Okay, I haven't broken anything yet, so I can go back into my HTML file and I can just start with the same thing, which is a nice h1 tag to say, here's a few operators. Okay, now we have that going, and I am going to go ahead and use the grid again. So if you remember, for the MD grid, it comes in a list, right? So, and then we need to specify the number of columns. So for this one, I'm going to have number of columns be 2, and this consists of tiles. So we'll just add the tiles here. In each tile, though, this time I'm going to use the card component. So MD card is the component, and then you have the MD card title. Title, just have a dummy title right here for now. You can see it show up, MD card content over here. Content. Okay. So now I have that. It doesn't look very pretty, so I'm going to add a little bit of styling to this. We will call it, oops, not to the grid. Let's add this to the card. Class equals, let's see, what do we want to call it? We probably want to call it card height and width. And then just quickly go into my styles.css file and just create card height, width, and probably a height of 175 pixels and a width of 300 pixels. It's not going to be amazingly pretty, but at least it won't be like tortuously ugly. Okay, so let's go to the MD grid tile, and I'm going to use NG4 again. Love my NG4s. Let operator of operator data dot operators, I believe I called the array. Okay, that works. And then over here, it's just operator dot operator, and then operator dot, what did I call that? Oops, operator service details. So operators component. Let's go back. Operators dot details. Go ahead and save that. And then you'll see that there's nice cards here. The MD card looks really beautiful. You can, again, specify the content, the title, a bunch of other different little things. You can even have card actions. And you have a few different things. Some of my favorite operators, multicast. I love that one. I like saying it too. And then merge. I like merge as well. Okay, so let's see. I want to go back into the Angular material so that I can just show you guys where you guys can reference it later on. So you have a simple card here, right? And you have the card title, subtitle, card content. You can have a card image if you want, card actions, card footer. So a lot of amazing things and different elements that you can use within that. But now we have, let's see, here's a few operators. Let me just save that. Okay. So now we have everything basically set up for the about. I guess we can create that really quickly, the about component. I think, by the way, we are looking for help in ArcsJS documentation. So if you want to get involved in open source, this is like the perfect way to do it about this project. And then maybe what I want to do is I just want to add like an MD card and simply use the card to encapsulate my content. Like if you're interested in helping on ArcsJS docs, email me. And you can email me. I'll put my email address, tracy@thisdot.co. Yay. Okay, so now we have a really nice application, and you know, it really didn't take me that long to build, right? I want to show you guys a few other little components that we weren't able to feature in this more serious application. I created this one a few months ago for NG Vikings, and it's a pun app because I can't do a talk without having some puns in there. So you can see it uses the toolbar again. We have the nice little side nav over here. And then, you know, I have a bunch of different types of puns. So here I'm using the card as well. So like, why did the cat put oil on the mouse? Because it squeaked. So you guys can check this out. I deployed it on Firebase. It took me about 5 minutes to deploy on Firebase. Those are the cards. Over here, we didn't go through the tabs, but I love the tabs. So this is the tab thing. These cow puns are so hilarious. What do you call a cow with a twitch? Beef jerky. And then I have a little button here. Click here if you thought this was funny. Haha, we thought it was funny too. See, cute, right? So, I mean, you can do this and you can close it too. But anyways, I mean, I don't know. Who uses the snack bars in their production apps? Anybody? Well, I need to find more reasons to use this. Anyways, cow puns. Okay, so then we have banana, and this is just where we use the MD list over here. And then I can go home, and I have this really nice dialogue right here. So click here, here are your instructions. Click on emoji and get some magical puns. And then we have a close over here, so I can close it. Love that. It's just so pretty. And over here, we have the, what are these called? Chips. Chips, snack bar, delicious. So you can configure these chips over here. But you can see it's really nice to just easily add tags. And then over here, if you can see, if I mouse over the duck, it says, oops, this isn't done yet. And this is the tooltip. So you can actually specify where you want the actual tooltip to go. And, you know, I mean, material, I think it's coming along pretty well. I know it's still in beta, but there's tons of people using it, and I know the team has a lot more planned. So let's go ahead and get back into the talk. We went through a few of the different components. We saw the toolbar, the side nav, the icon, the buttons, progress bar, grid list, chips. You saw chips, dialogue, the raised button, MD list. I mean, a lot of quite a few different things. So, I mean, that was like 14 or so components. If you go to the GitHub, you can actually see the progress. So they'll actually have a list on GitHub where you can see all the different ones that are already done and links to the docs and the different issues it closes. But as well, these are the ones that are in progress or unplanned, I guess. So the tree, stepper, sticky head, virtual repeat, some of the different fabs like speed dial and toolbar, bottom nav and bottom sheet. As well, I'm sure you guys are excited about Flex Layout and Angular's Flex Layout. Thomas Burleson, who led Angular Material 1, he's the lead on Angular Material 1. He created this really amazing app that demos it. I don't know if it's officially linked. I'm pretty sure it is, though. But anyways, it's on Firebase. You can check it out. This is what his site looks like. So cool. But you can really play around with Flex Layout and just sort of like, you know, see what the layout directions mean, or you know, whether you line it horizontally or vertically, what the fills look like what flex looks like, layout wraps, attribute values, et cetera, et cetera. So, oh my God, who has heard of Angular Component Dev Kit? Anybody? Component Dev Kit? One person. All right, well, I'm so stoked on this. So I spent like 2 hours being like, what is this Component Dev Kit the other day? It sort of derailed me a little bit. But anyways, July 6, 2017, this is when Angular Component Dev Kit was released. And this was released with Angular Material 2 Beta 8. So these are the Angular components that you see without the material design. So what they're doing is they're basically taking the material design part of it away so that you can actually create these components and have building blocks for UI components. So what that means is you get features. So in this initial release, if you do use Component Dev Kit right now, you're going to get features like the accessibility, text direction, platform detection, dynamic component instantiation. And I think this is really special and this is really interesting. And I think we're going to see a lot of more companies sort of moving towards using the Dev Kit, because obviously, like, who wants to, you know, redo all that and create your own if you can just like use everybody else's, like the date picker. Who wants to create another one? So very, very, very excited about this. I mean, there's a ton of downloads already on GitHub. I don't remember how many, but it was like in the tens of thousands daily or something like that. So people are using it and breaking it. Docs, I don't think there's any docs. I could be wrong, but you can like bumble through the source code and see all the exciting things happening there. So I'll probably be writing about this at some point in time soon. So we learned a few different things today. We just went through components and styling and Angular Material, few tips on getting started. I will have a blog series coming out soon on Angular Material. I wrote about it, I think in February, but so many things have changed since then. And we built an app with Angular Material, so that was awesome. I'm Lady Lead on everything, so you know, if you ever need help with anything at all, literally anything, I'm more than happy to help. You can follow me on Medium, ladylead.com, GitHub, etc. And besides that, I'm happy to answer any questions if there are any. I think we have a few minutes. Otherwise, I'm enjoying Sydney. I've been up since midnight, and I haven't slept yet. So we'll see how the rest of the day goes. Any questions? Yes. Can you use this material design with React? No, because these are actually like Angular components, Angular specific components. Yeah, I mean, who does React with Material? Material, no? So Material UI, I asked on Twitter what the best one was because I wanted to use it in one of my React apps. People seem to like Material-UI. Hi, Duncan. So, so I would use that. Otherwise, there is Materialize CSS as well, which is a pretty cool material component library that I used to use a lot. So, any other questions? I saw one. When do I think material is going to finish beta? I don't know, actually. I think that with the component dev kit that just came out and sort of this decoupling, that is really, really, really interesting. They do plan on making I know they say that Igor Minar, who is one of the leads, said that they're going to de-emphasize releases, but I don't know if that means that in September they're going to de-emphasize the release that they have in September that they've been emphasizing to me. So, so we'll see. Who knows? I know that they're greatly working on the dev kit right now on a different team. So, we'll see how it goes. I think it'll be a second. I mean, it's got to be 6 months to a year, but that's just my random predictions. I'm predicting more like a year. But any other questions? Yes. So, sorry, the question was? Other component libraries? So can you use so there's a component dev kit and then there's the dev kit. So yeah, so the component dev kit you can use with other, you know what, I'm not really sure. I mean, they are Angular specific components, so. Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty sure with a component dev kit, you can specify whatever styles you want. So if you use it, I don't know. I'm actually really curious about that. You were going to say? No?
I thought this was more about something like priming G, for example.
Oh, yeah.
But Bootstrap and Material is just different UIs.
Yeah.
As you said, the component div kit would be interesting to see if somebody would bring Material to Bootstrap styling.
I was actually thinking that. I was actually thinking about if I'm going to demo this, do I use these UI components with the component dev kit with Bootstrap? But I feel like that would sort of be like going back in time versus. Cool. Well, thank you everybody for coming. I'll see you guys around the conference, and again, I'm happy to help or answer any questions anytime you need.